Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Artist Well. As usual, when we start our little program, we talk about events that are happening around the place with people who have been on the show before. So there's a couple I want to mention. First, starting with Tim Goulding, Nadette Charlet, and Jenny Richardson. The three of them, they have an exhibition in the beautiful new gallery, the Eight Cows Gallery in Allihies. And the three of them will be exhibiting in that. The other thing I'd like to mention is Elizabeth Cope's new book, which she launched down in the Visual in Carlow last Thursday. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to it, but she's launched a new book that coincides with this extraordinary exhibition of hers, a vast exhibition. And as I mentioned, even including works on the ceiling. I mean, it's like the Sistine Chapel down there at the moment. But she's produced this beautiful book that sort of commemorates that particular exhibition, and it runs till January. The Arts Club have the Artist Members Winter Exhibition on at the moment, and I have a little work in that as well. Pat Harris, I was delighted, Pat I had never met before. He was on the program, and I met him in person at the Taylor Gallery a couple of days ago when he launched his exhibition there. So that's in Kildare Street, Taylor Galleries, and that continues for a couple of weeks as well. Finally, Catherine Gagan had a wonderful opening yesterday of her gallery and the work in there, and it was just fantastic. Now it is in a private space, so if you'd like to see it, her work in that, all you have to do is contact Catherine, and I'm sure she'd be delighted to arrange mutual time that you can all meet up in there and see her exhibition, which is super, really beautiful. I think that's about it. I hope I haven't left anyone out. I probably have. But look, let's go straight over to the Curragh in County Kildare and say hello to Leah Laimbo. I hope I pronounced your name right. Good morning, Leah. How are you?
Good morning. Good to see you. Thank you for the invitation.
Not at all, a pleasure. And have I pronounced your name right? And I know even though you're Dutch, it's actually an Austrian name, you were telling me.
It is, yes.
Yeah, very good. Where were you born in Holland? Whereabouts?
I was born in Bussum, which is southeast of Amsterdam, in a woodland area, and it's interesting because it has a vast, different range of architecture, beautiful old houses, country houses, and farmhouses, and houses built, let's say, 18th century, 19th century, early 20th century. So I was born there. I moved age 3 from Bussum to Oegstgeest as my father became a bank manager. And I still have early memories of the house where we used to live. Moving to Oegstgeest was very different. It's close to Leiden. It's a town connected to the city of Leiden, and Leiden is a very old city where Rembrandt van Rijn was born.
Oh, right.
And, the Pilgrim Fathers set sail on the Mayflower from Leiden to the New World.
Yes.
And it's the city which received the rights to have start a university. So the oldest university of the Netherlands is in Leiden.
Okay, all right. And I gather it was a lovely community that you grew up with. Yeah,
the house where we moved into, it was a block. At the time, very modern. They would be known as sunlight raining through your home houses, literally translated, because basically the houses were like fish tanks. The glass in the, let's say, the drawing room and the living room were gigantic. And walking to school, it was like a theater. You walked to school and you looked in to all the houses, walking up to school, and there was all the back gardens connected, and there was an alleyway where the community was wonderful. It was tight knit. All the neighbors, the mothers, they were called auntie. So
Yeah.
you'd have Auntie Elvira, Auntie Eat, Auntie Jeanne, Auntie Tineke, and we would sleep over. So if families, you know, had to go travel, children, we would just, let's say, mix and match.
Sure. Yes. Yes. No, I think that concept of aunties and uncles who weren't aunties and uncles is a fairly universal thing. And I know certainly in certain communities in Dublin, you'd have much the same, or indeed anywhere. So, okay. So it seemed an idyllic childhood, but unfortunately it was tinged with a degree of sadness, wasn't it? Because your father died very young.
He did, yes. He fell ill, age 42, and he died when he was 44. I was 14, and it was a massive change in our lives, and from that and all the everything that happened at the time, I moved out of the house age 16, and I moved into the city of Leiden. In the city center, I was able to rent a room and would take the train every day to the Royal Academy of Visual Arts in The Hague.
Right, but tell us about that, because you were far too young to get in, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I finished my secondary school unsuccessfully. I had no diploma. And my mom said, right, this is your only chance, and the only chance you have. And as I grew up with 3 wild brothers, to give myself peace, I would just lock myself away in my little room, and I would just draw and paint and draw and draw and draw throughout the years. So I developed a, let's say, sort of a skill. And by that time, I had a big portfolio, let's put it that way. And I brought it in. The fact that I was 16 and I had no diploma, the chances were very slim to be admitted, but 200 people applied, 40 were accepted or selected, and 5 would be given, so 35 were selected and 5 would be given dispensation. And I was called back to the academy the next day, where all the teachers were there in this boardroom with the director, and they were pooling drawings and sketches and paintings, and they were commenting on it, and they asked my opinion, and I knocked everything I did. And they said, why?
You could argue was a very bad thing to do, but in fact it worked in your favor, didn't it?
I did, because I made them see that that if I do it again, I would improve it and do it better. And so that's why I was given dispensation, and I was in, which was terrific.
Very good, very good. And how long did you spend in that art college?
6 years.
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
And it was a huge change, because going from a secondary school and then to the academy, the second youngest after me was 23, and the dynamics were very, very, very different. The discussions were deep and serious. Everybody smoked. I guess I was actually way too young. But it was, what I loved most is taking the bus on a Monday morning to the zoo in Wassenaar's, to Wassenaar's zoo. No one was there, and we as art students were allowed in, and the zoo was completely empty, and you'd sketch away with your portfolio. I had big sheets of paper, and one morning I decided just to climb the fence of the giraffes, because in my naivety I thought, well, they're just big goats. So I climbed 2 fences. And I stepped into this huge enclosure, and they were far away in the distance and eating hay from this sort of basket. And one turned around as it saw me, and it walked towards me, and I was squatting. And as it came closer, I thought, God, these animals, they are gigantic. gigantic. And I said to myself, as I was sitting on the ground, whatever you do, don't move.
Yes.
And this enormous head came down. And you'd think the head of a giraffe is as big as a horse, let's say this big, but it's actually, it's much bigger. The eye of a giraffe is phenomenal.
Huge,
and
yeah.
it touched me, it sniffed me, and
didn't give you a lick, no?
A big gray blue tongue came out, and it wrapped its tongue around my sketch, and it pulled it off my, and it ate it and walked away. And I felt I was very lucky not to be kicked, you know.
Weren't you? Because that's apparently how they deal with any attacker. Like a lion, just a kick in the head, and that's bye.
But it was a magnificent experience, and
I can imagine.
got away.
So what happened after you left? After you left school, art school?
What happened? I was invited by 3 galleries, one in Groningen, one in Utrecht, one in Langbroek, and one in The Hague, actually 4. Yeah. So I worked away non-stop painting collections, and they were selling like hotcakes.
Was this mainly portraits, Leah?
As well.
Oh, okay.
But I had a specific style. I had a specific style of work, which at the time was popular, and the works found a way. Just let me see if I can. I made works like these, just very, very flat.
Yes.
It's a mother and child at the time, and here's a pregnant woman, and here this painting, I called it Mother's Chair. And these, and here's myself with my eldest son at the time. But works like that, inspired in a way by the ukiyo-e wood prints. I had none left. But the thing was, I had to paint, each time I had a solo exhibition, I had to paint about 12 paintings, 1 meter by 1.20 meters. And I did that for years, and I just hit a wall. My head was empty.
Yes.
And
and had you met your husband at this stage? Your future husband?
I did, yes. Yeah. I did. And he was a musician. And we would work, and I would do portraits and work for these galleries, and he would perform for weddings and jubilees in 2 different bands, but solo as well, in a little boat in the canals of Amsterdam, serenading people on the bridges.
Pretty.
And the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, and he said, "Come on, let's go east." And he had when he was performing with his bands, when they take a break, he would just have a suitcase with magic tricks that fail, and he would just entertain the people during those breaks. And he said, "Come on, let's go." And at the time, we had a barrel organ, highly decorated with little angels and bright in color. A suitcase with books, with waltzes, and he brought his trumpet and the suitcase with the magic tricks, and we just we played at the Berlin Wall as it was just opened, and we decided to follow our nose and go east, further and further and further, and we ended up in Poland, performing in small towns and farmland areas. So you'd have really small towns with beautiful, beautiful, bright colored houses with thatched roofs. And we had a second-hand postal van, and in the back we had barrel organ And even on rainy days, I had a little light bulb and I'd stay in the back of the van. It was like a little theater. We opened the doors and I started playing the music, and he would be in front of the van, and he would sort of dance or even do magic tricks at the music.
Yes.
And children would just come, and then people come, and we.
But then it developed into a huge enterprise, didn't it? I mean, you've been all around the world, and you've entertained schools, people in schools,
orphanages. Orphanages,
yeah, even a prison,
hospitals, a prison for children in Georgia, in the south of Russia. We what we did, we looked up people that did social work in their who would help their own children. Let's put it that way, and they would help orphanages, and they would help families in shanty towns, in ghettos, and they would have, let's say, a truck and an interpreter and bring us there. So we performed in Africa, in South America, in the Far East, in Indonesia, in Korea, in in the southeast of Europe, Poland, Romania, Hungary. So anywhere where there were big groups of children, disadvantaged children, and we would perform for free. So we just give a day of fun.
Yeah.
And
do you know what I'm going to do? Because I mean, it really is an extraordinary thing that you did. How many years were you doing this?
So from 1989 until the elder son was 17.
Yeah.
And he said he just didn't want to join anymore. He said, "Stop bothering people with your magic tricks.
The circus is over."
Magic tricks.
Yeah.
And then it was just it died. You know, it just stopped. But
well,
when the youngest son was 5, he would play the drums, and the elder son would play guitar, and we would then perform in the summer holidays, which was 6 weeks in the Netherlands, and it was a wonderful way to introduce the boys to different countries, different people, different children.
구멍들이 연주할 음표가 되는 셈이다. 손잡이를 돌리면 구멍에 따라 각 파이프가 소리를 내는 것. 300권에 달하는 악보를 모두 직접 만들었다고. 아이들 이젠 온몸으로 음악을 느껴보는데 이번엔 뭘 하려는 건지 악기를 나눠주고 이렇게 특
Wychodzi jeden wielki okrzyk. A the impression you're leaving here. You may come here just for an hour, but this will be spoken about for months. Believe you me, months. And I can see there's a few budding magicians in the audience who have now been taken in by what you've just done.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Hopla. Hopla. Hopla! Wow.
There you are, Leah. That was just phenomenal. I hope people are able to see that clearly.
I hope so too. Yeah, it was. I've dear memories of very special people and children. You know, under difficult circumstances. You know, coping with everyday life and the hardship of. It's just having very little chance to have access to good education, good housing, good schooling, good, you know, setting up life, and particularly children that have lost their parents or children that were born out of wedlock. There was a gigantic orphanage in Samtredia in the west of Georgia, and it was like desert mountains with nothing but rock, and this gigantic building, gigantic orphanage with 500 children. The interpreter said these children, nobody is allowed to know that these children are alive, because all born out of wedlock. And the temperature, the previous temperature of that night was -26. It was winter time, and I noticed when we came in that it was very, very cold, and the children would just have these sort of gray purple cheeks and lips. Just cold.
Yes,
Cold.
yeah.
But to come there and give a few hours of joy was fantastic. We started the painting program after the magic tricks and the dancing and all that, because in Brazil, we left once in an open truck and all the children started running as they were just so enthusiastic, and some fell so hard. And I said to Renier, we must bring that enthusiasm down, let's say that giddiness down, by doing a big communal painting, so they'd still be enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And we would bring 10 rolls of paper as a memory of our visit. And we would take to the Netherlands one painting of 10 meters long and 150 wide. And it was marvelous to see what they would paint. Yes. Children in Indonesia would paint the merapi, the blue triangle and rice fields. And the children would paint their own everyday life, which...
Do you know what I really found fascinating? I mean, apart from the actual act of doing what you did, was the fact that you said to me that children between the ages of 4 and 6 were
4 and 10.
Oh, sorry, 4 and 10 then. Yeah, 4 and 10. No matter what their culture or country, that they responded to exactly the same stimuli, behaved in exactly the same way, laughed at the same things, right? Which of course is lovely. It's lovely. But after 10, obviously things change. Cultures come in that, you know, are totally different and so on. But it was just fascinating to see that every single, you know, country that you'd been to, they all respond in exactly the same way, which is beautiful.
Yeah, it was. It's lovely to basically, you know, find a way to play. And children are so, you know, there's no threshold. There's different ways of communicating, and Yeah, I feel it was marvelous for the boys, for our sons, who are grown men now. They're adults, 28 and 24. Yes. They approach anybody so easily, and they travel anywhere so easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're true children of the world, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we have to get onto your art and have a look at what you do. Yvonne has just said there, you know, she loved the video, but she asked, did you find that you had to sacrifice your own artistic career at the time, even if it was giving so much to these children? You know, was your career put on hold? It probably was in that sense.
Well, it was, but actually it would give, because I remember in Indonesia, stunning greens, stunning nature, tropical world, and then particularly the women in the sarongs, dressed in the brightest iridescent colors, combined with, let's say, murky colors. And just in Sri Lanka, I felt, for me, Sri Lanka was the most beautiful country. I constantly felt as if I was walking in paintings of Paul Gauguin. No, it gave me a lot. Traveling gave me a lot. And to be welcomed was just, and having that interaction, and it was marvelous. It gave me a lot to start the big scale paintings.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I can imagine that the case. Right, let's have a tour of your studio, because you have a purpose-built studio there. It's beautifully airy and bright and all that, but it's also you've got quite a few interesting little things.
James Burns and I, who is my partner, we built this studio out of an old woodshed. Yes. And it has as you can see, a marvelous view. Here is my messy table, and these two paintings are part of a triptych which I exhibited recently in the RDS. Here is the heart of the studio. Here is a beautiful ceramic work by Boncompin that I found. Here's my grandmother, my mother's mother, a painting, a portrait of her done by Erika Visser. Here are my orchids, and here is all the gear, and I'll just gently turn around. I don't like orchids, but I like them as a family. Now, here is my little kitchen, and again, with that view, I have a better view than the Dutch royal family. This is my art cabinet that I brought from the Netherlands. I said to Reinier, you keep the house, I am taking this arts cabinet. So these are works that I've traded with other artists over the years, and works that I made myself. This is Mr. Universe, a life-size bust that I did of Arnold Boomans, with on his body all the star signs. Here is a work by Johan Scherft. He makes paper birds. And here is a small ceramic work that I made after our second son was born. This is interesting. This is made by Johan Scherft. It's the painting of Karel Fabricius, made in as a 3D work. It's a bit tilted. Hang on.
That's okay. Don't worry. Yeah.
Rechtop. It's the goldfinch, and this is a miniature box that I found in a little antique shop in Enniskerry. There's a work made by a child in Namibia with straws, and here's a bull that was in my grandparents' house for many years that my grandfather bought at a market. And here's a work that I really, really love, made by Norbert Oldhuis, wrestling or mock fighting centaurs. Here's a work by Dorothy Letwit that I deeply, deeply admire. We love her work. This is a flooded field. We have 3 of her works now, and I really, 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 really admire her work. I think her work just represents such poetry. This is a little fish. Johan Scherf made 2 of these, and one is with Princess Beatrix, the mother of the Dutch king, and the other one is with me.
Ah, good. Very
Here's
good.
another sculpture by nature, the nest of a wren, that I really love. And oh yeah, up here, my grandfather's painting that I traded with him once for an etching that I did that he really loved. He made this in 1942. It's very, very dear to me. And here's Peruvian art of the Shankai people, which is ancient. My grandfather gave that to me. He bought it for $5 at a market in Lima.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
No. And here is Jan van der Vathorst, who made this sculpture. I love its naivety. We performed in Suriname and in the jungle where the Marons live. They gave us this. This is used in ceremonies. I think it's fascinating that the beads and the feathers of tropical birds. There's a little ceramic portrait I made. Sorry, the glare is a bit strong.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine.
And here is a bowl I made, star sign Scorpio combined with star sign Leo, and so it's on the outside and the inside and all around and underneath. So I used to make.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's so yeah.
Okay, so let's just do a quick 360.
What's 360?
Oh, sorry. Just go right around the room so we can see it as a one entity, if you like.
Yeah. So I will just spin around.
It looks like a cozy sofa.
It is. It really, really is. Here is so there's the kitchen in the distance, and here's my working table. That's where I work. So underneath the roof. The great thing about it that it has a high ceiling, so I can lift the easel, which is terrific. I must show you something, but then I have to climb on the step, which is up here. I have a lion's skull, which I find fascinating, absolutely fascinating, as it's the design. In the Netherlands, I have a horse skull of a Koning horse, but James said leave it there. But if you see the 2 of them, if you see compare the skull of the lion compared with the horse, is interesting. The big cats, the eye sockets are opened because then they can take the impact of hooves, which is, all eye sockets of the great cat are open. And I love it. St. Bridget's Cross above the door with the feather of a buzzard I found. And I love this. I love this image, which could be a cover image as well. And here are loads of photos that I've, in each studio, I have this, I love these guys, on the bicycle.
Yes.
Their way to the next performance. And this is the house of my grandparents. And and here's my mom. she drives a Morgan.
Does she?
That's my mum.
God, she's very with it.
Yeah, I'm so proud of her. And and what do you think of this? A cat with a diamond nose. I just love it. Just love it. And so these are all pictures that I enjoy looking at. This was done by Gerhard Lenting, a sculptor. He made this chair. I exhibited with him twice in the museum, and his works are absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
And that's a big cat. So yeah, and the ukiyo-e wood prints that were, for me, great source of inspiration. And
okay, Lee, we'll move on because we've a lot of
yes,
artwork to show as well. So I'm going to
shall I
screen share
turn
that
the
now.
lens? Shall I turn the lens around?
Yes, do please.
Oh yeah, that's let's say a journey in blue. It's 180 high by 80 centimeters wide. It's like a small door. It's 2 blue irises. It's like a twirls of blue, and very impromptu. That's Sticky and Boogie. They live in Italy on a big estate. They're owners. They have a collection of my works. And they asked me to do this double portraits of their dogs, and the circus cloud above their heads represents the bond the 2 dogs have. You know, that
yes.
friendship. Yeah.
And what medium are you using there?
Oil, and yeah, it's a very liquid, very diluted acrylics, and oil and gold leaf. It's life size. Life size. Never ever sent with UPS, because it was an absolute nightmare to get it to its destination. Oh, it's Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Young Bridget. Yeah, Young Bridget. I made this for the exhibition that I did. I am in together with marvelous artists. We came together in 2020 with Mary McGrath and Pamela Debris and Eleanor Swan and Sylvia Hemingway, Lisa Kavanagh, Brian McLaughlin. And we are a Kildare-based artist-led collective. We have our own gallery in Kildare town, in the number 8 gallery at Academy Street. And in this year, at the 1st of February, we had an exhibition in Solus Breeze, just outside Kildare town.
That's New Bridge.
Yes. And I made this work as Young Bridget with a lamb, as a connecting with the Curragh, you know, the sheep at the Curragh, and and then early spring flowers. This is gouache on etching paper.
Okay. And is this that particular exhibition has transferred to the Phoenix Park Visitor Center?
Yeah, but not this particular work.
Oh, not that particular one. Okay.
The theme for the exhibition that we have at the moment in Phoenix Park is 1922, the new state. So it's about when the British Army left Ireland.
That's right. We mentioned that the other week, that the place was devastated because 20,000 soldiers just upped and left, and they were a major part of the economy.
Exactly. Yeah, Stella's or James' aunt Stella, she told us that on each street corner there would be men trying to find work, you know. Oh, this is a fabric collage and Harry the cat with a yellow chair. I love doing this when I need to sort of pull back and relax my brain. When sometimes I can't paint, but I can use scissors that's why when I start doing fabric collages, and it's with crochet flowers made by Anke Woudenberg. She is a lovely Dutch lady that can crochet anything.
Yes.
She is magnificent, and this was a commission. Harry the cat with the starry night, and vase with twirling flowers.
Wonderful.
It's upholstery fabric. Oh yeah.
Really? Okay.
I made this for the minister Michael Troy. I did 3 of these works. It was a commission given to me by a dear friend of mine, Annie Verwijs Dees, who is Dutch and who has lived here in Ireland for 52 years. She recently received the highest God, how do you say that?
Accolade.
Appreciation. She
Yes.
was made an officer in the legions to the Belgian crown. So she's an officer. But she asked me to do 3 landscapes, Irish landscapes, and this is a valley towards Wicklow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
done in pastel, is it?
Yeah, it's a hawthorn tree. It's soft pastel on etching paper.
Yeah, lovely.
Thank you. This is the river towards Kingswood in Wicklow. So again, soft pastel on etching paper. But I give the etching paper a blue-gray acrylic wash. And that's what punches the color of the soft pastel back. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is a work that I made for the 1922 exhibition. It's the first industrial strike after the British left was the postal strike, and they started using pigeons to send letters. And pigeons, they use landmarks as roads and rivers. That's why I positioned this man at the Livy Bridge in Newbridge.
Yes.
And a lady at the exhibition asked me, but why is he wearing a pinstripe suit? Why is he so dressed up? And I thought, God, I have to say something. So quickly I said, well, he must have been in love. You know, he's sending his love letter in that little tube. And the one pigeon is on its way already.
That's completely irrelevant, Leah, and you know it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was for the same exhibition, Ireland coming from a blue period where the dots on the tablecloth represent decades of deep misery, and the vase with the horses running free, the old acorns shaken off, and the oak branches with new life, new beginning, a new, you know, as a representing the new state. Yes. And 2 robins, in those branches. Yeah,
gorgeous. Yeah. And is that a large work?
This is a soft pastel, again on etching paper.
Yeah, but size-wise, what is it?
Oh, 45.5 centimeters by 65.5 centimeters.
Right, yes.
Yeah. Oh, this is, I love sketching. I was house minding in Levittstown, and this boxer called Zibo, he was sleeping, and I just love to, just with a very fine liner, just follow those lines, just look at him, and just as he was sleeping. Yes. Yeah, so it's sort of freehand sketching, but you go slow and you go accurate. Yeah. Well, that's here in the studio. It's this. These 2 works are part of the Origin series. The Origin series representing where do we come from, who are we, and where do we go. The painting on the left is called Natus, and the painting on the right is called the Domus. Natus is a woman squatting, giving birth. pain cleaves the woman. That's why the one leg separated from the body, and she sees her child through her fingertips. And I won the Dutch Biennale Figurative Art with this series. One of those works you've seen in Art Source recently.
Yeah, we see that at the end.
Yeah,
That's the last one.
So the Domus is. One day I was pretty miserable in the Dutch studio, and I held my head, and a little voice in my head said, "What is it that you're holding?" And instantly I said, "My house." And then I thought, this is an interesting theme. So I decided to ask a patholoog anatoom in the big hospital in Amsterdam, is there a skull with full teeth, upper and lower teeth? And I was going to paint it like a planet with waterways and mountains and hills and paths that we walk as mankind. I call it Domus, and in the background of this painting, there's 227 chambers with gold leaf doors, and on each door there's a verb. So it says, I ignite, I engage, I listen, so it's just 227 verbs. So each chamber, each room from which you act.
Yes, yes. And on the skull, there's water, there's greenery, everything.
There's mountains, there's valleys, and I love this painting. Yeah, it's one day it will find its way, hopefully one day. But yeah. I'm not rushed. I love it to be here. And I had these two paintings in the Kim Won-ki Museum solo exhibition in Seoul, South Korea. Beautiful state-of-the-art new museum built against the mountain slope behind the Emperor's Palace in the city of Seoul. And the Dutch ambassador opened the exhibition, and there was a gentleman there, South Korean gentleman, who was important because he shipped these paintings in a container from Rotterdam to Busan, and he saw this birth painting, and it was as if he was bitten by a snake, but his wife grabbed him by the back of the neck, and she pushed him towards a painting, and she made him see. And I was thinking, yeah, it's if you look at that, you look at yourself. Like, we all came through a woman. You know, our mothers gave us life. So they were unselected unfortunately for the RHA.
Unselected, is that what you said?
Yeah, they were unselected for the annual exhibition in the RHA. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a hassle to bring it there with the horse box and collecting it again at a Saturday afternoon.
I'm very surprised to hear that. Very surprised.
Oh, yeah. Here is this is I was lucky enough. Hang on, someone is phoning me here.
Don't answer it.
Oh, this I painted this horse with 20 other marvelous horses that were. It was an initiative of the Understarters Orders, where these horses were sold to benefit the Injured Jockeys Fund and the Sensational Kids Fund. Yes. And this horse is called Flying Colors, and it has a life-size female jockey on this side and a young woman and a young man on the other side. And you can find this horse in the lobby of the Heritage Hotel in Killenard.
Oh, right.
Which is a spa and golf resort. Yeah, David Kelly, who is the executive or the boss. Yep. He bought this painting, this sculpture.
Yes.
Fiberglass resin horse. That's what it is.
Very impressive. Most impressive.
Yeah, this is Dream World. It's in the lobby of the Kilishi Hotel in in Nice, and it's a young girl who is, let's say, in a paradise kind of world. There is 38 creatures. There's hummingbirds, beetles, frogs, small squirrel, a hare, different birds.
Yes.
The sky is gold leaf and the lake is gold leaf. And if the light is in a different angle, it would just project all images.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm happy that it's there. I'm very lucky that David Kelly bought it.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah, it's stunning. Yeah. Really stunning.
Thank you. This is we have flower borders here in the garden, and it's always magnificent, absolutely magnificent when the blue bearded iris is flowering and swaying in the sunshine. And you know what? If you take a magnifying glass and you in the sunlight and you hold it up very close to these petals, you see artery, you see diamonds, you see stunning colors. I always say, who the hell needs drugs? Just get a bloody magnifying glass and look at flowers up close, because it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing.
Yes.
I feel flowers, actually, they are angels. They replace angels on this planet.
Well,
yeah.
you couldn't be Dutch without loving flowers.
I do, yeah. But, well, I guess so. Well, tulips, but tulips. We have this tulip park in called the Keukenhof in the Netherlands. I find it the most boring. Tourists are mad about it. Yeah. I'm not. I'm not. I love cottage gardens.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my wood print. An Irish hare after summer rain at the base of an oak tree, licking its fur, you know, when they are lovely and wet.
Yes.
This is a work I made. I call it Fragile Planet. It's the planet floating in this universe with black holes. And if we keep going the way we go, we don't need a black hole to disappear into. We're well on our way to destroy ourselves, so to speak. But I'd say mankind is clever enough to change when it's 1 to 12, and we're, I think, currently at 5 to 12. But I think when it's 1 to 12, we will logheads come together, no matter where we come from, and sort the problem out.
That's the great hope.
Yeah. This is part of the Origin series too. It's 2 women, life size, in 2 opposite triangles. I made this painting after I stopped working with the 4 galleries, because I just totally had a brain fry, and I wanted to go back to the experiment and work large scale. And I made this painting. No one had seen it, and the lock of my door in my Dutch studio broke, and this big guy with a mustache like a walrus, he had to fix the lock, and no one had seen this painting. And when he came into the studio to tell me it was finished, he was finished. He saw this painting, and in very, very slang Utrechts, he said to me, he asked me, he said, "Is that paradise?"
Really?
Yeah. And for me, that was the sort of the green light that it was good enough to go anywhere.
Beautiful. Ah, yes. But tell me, Leah, do you do much preparatory work for something like that, or would you literally just have a concept in your head and get straight into it? You know, would you do sketches and all that kind of thing beforehand?
No, I have a sketchbook here. The sketches I make are with a ballpoint on a piece of paper. I have this book here that carries all the how they came about, all the big size paintings.
Yes.
And I would just have my idea as plain as possible, and I'd work it out on the canvas, because that's for me the journey.
Yes.
That's the joy, not going into pre-painting, because that's utterly boring. And actually I love, my heart lays with large scale works. Small works is okay, but I just feel a fire inside me to do large scale. It's what I love doing. If the studio would allow it, I would make a painting 4 by 4 meters. I can't. It's not that won't happen. But maybe one day.
Yeah.
But I just love working large scale.
Yeah, and your work large scale is so impressive. I mean, I saw the one in Art Source, which we're actually going to see. But you know what?
Thank you.
Just given the time, we might just skip over some of these.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a circus couple. This is Young Ireland with Baby Oak.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is Joan Gralla with her Clementine. She loved that dog like no one else did, and her dress is like carpets, because she lived together with that dog. And this was in Manhattan, and she would walk the dog in a pram.
Yes.
And I met her in New York, and I did a big painting of her, and I gave her this as a present.
Didn't you do just before we talk about this one? Didn't you do a number of portraits of people in Manhattan or something with their dogs?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah, tell me briefly about that.
Rebecca Michaelman wanted to represent me in New York. She took my work to the Hamptons. It wasn't a success. As I was in New York, I nearly broke my neck on a summer's evening over Clementine, this white bulldog who was laying face down on the sidewalk, and out came Joan out of this magnificent building where she had an apartment, and I said to her, "Can I paint your dog?" And she said, "That would be great." And then in the hotel, I thought, you know what would be great to paint her as well. And then I asked her if she had neighbors who would like to join, just as an initiative of myself. And so I made 3 paintings, and we put them up in her apartment. And there was a small exhibition, which was lovely. And a lot of the people, all her neighbors in the apartment, came to have a look. And I did a series of ink drawings as well of dogs and owners. And the one painting was sold, and the rest is still in her apartment.
I see. Yeah. Now those paintings, if people would like to look at them, they're on your website, aren't they?
It is, yes.
Yeah,
But I have it here in the book. Funny enough, I just opened the book, and I opened it at the right page.
Did you?
So,
okay.
Yeah, so I can show it later on if you'd like.
Well, show. Oh no, sorry. Yes, no. Wait till we're back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this painting here before we go back to you.
Yeah. This is 5 meters 10 wide by 2 meters 30 high. The theme is, where do we come from? Who are we? Where do we go? It was actually a theme that I found or saw with the painting of Paul Gauguin. And I was so impressed by the theme that I thought, I want to make my own, that, you know, that start of life. And so basically on the left, you see the tapir baby in a night, under a night sky in the jungle, where for me, the tapir baby connects the tangible with the intangible, as it has stars and comets on its body. And the tapir baby is reflected in water. Now, water is the most important source of life. Then a mother who gives life with daybreak, and she's standing strong with her baby in her arms. And the elderly man resting in flowering grass before he returns to the stars. Now, on the left, the night sky is very fresh, very blue, different shades of blue and gray, with that vigorous growth of plants, again representing life. And the night sky on the right is more golden, more, with the baobab trees that have no leaves, just to show more stars. The man who is in the painting was a neighbor of mine growing up in Oostgeest. He was a professor at law. He was a professor at maritime law, and his grandfather invented stenography. You know, the people that in court do the quick typing.
Yes.
His grandfather invented that, and he told me as a young boy, he and his grandfather taught him a variation to stenography. So there are a lot of letters that no one could read. And before he passed away, I phoned him and he said, "Would you please visit me?" And he said, "Don't bring your man." He wanted to be surrounded only by women before he passed. He wanted to be carried by women, so to speak, into the next world, or
Very
crossing the ocean. Yeah.
Leah, that's amazing. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, well done. Laura Hannon says, "I'm sitting here with my own child on my lap watching this. He is nearly 4 and he was captivated by the short video played. Very touching work, Leah." Claudia Hoffman says, "Hello to all. Hello to Leah from Hamburg. It always touches me when we artists work with those who know life from the hard side. And so often these are the children. It's great when we can pass something on directly and keep the heart of humanity alive. Thank you for that."
Wow, that's so kind.
Very kind. Thank you. Gillian, amazing artwork. Aina Lavelle says, "Wonderful work, Leah. Fascinating interview. Thank you both." David Goldberg, "Fascinating work and a wonderful presentation. But I must leave you and go into another room."
Oh.
There you are. Right.
What room?
I don't know.
I get curious now.
This is the great mystery of life. Ask all to unmute. Okay, so anybody who'd like to make a comment or ask a question in person, please do so.
Hello.
And don't be shy. Hello.
Hello. I'm so curious. I'm living in Groningen in the Netherlands, and you mentioned I'm Dutch as well as you. Gallery in Groningen. Which was that gallery?
Anneke Brink, En's Art.
Oh yeah, En's Art.
At the Munnekeholm.
Munnekeholm. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Leah, your life story is.
There you are.
Hi.
Sorry, it's just incredible. I mean, it was just fascinating listening to you. It's,
lovely. Well, thank you so much.
All the colours coming through, your paintings are incredible. I'm dying to go to Kildare now to see them. Fabulous.
Come and have tea in the studio.
Thank you. I will when I get back. I'm in France at the moment, but when I get back, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Lovely to meet you.
I might join you, Alico. The two of us might go down.
Great.
Yeah, please join. Please join, Ellen.
Well, do you know what we might do? We might get a group of the Artist Well and limit it to say 5 people or something like that, something that's comfortable, and come and visit you at a time that suits you.
Hello, Alan.
Hello there. Hello. Hi.
Alan.
How are you?
I'm absolutely bowled over by her work. What a wonderful person she is. And that sort of feeling of bubbling life is like her. It comes through in all her paintings.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself, Mo.
I'm Margaret. I'm a mower in West. I'm a printmaker mostly, but I live in the very west of Ireland, on the edge of the Atlantic. And come and see me in my studio. I think the Arts Club has my details.
I do. And Margaret did a course with me not so many months ago. So that's very nice. Thank you very much for that, Margaret.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else?
Lovely meeting you.
Yes, Mary. Yeah, that's Mary. Can you put on your video? Mary?
Leah is a tremendous help to everybody. And if you have a painting problem, her drawing skills are just fantastic. And she is a very generous friend as regards help with you know, with your paintings. If you have a problem, she is the first person to show you how to overcome the problem, because she has a great experience and an imagination to die for. You know, she's an inspiration to us all, really.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, dear. Oh,
Hello.
Hello.
It's her work with the circus that really appealed to me, and the marvelous involvement and engagement with all those children all over the world. That's what I'll remember of this morning. And thank you very much. A bit like watching the toy show with last night.
This is the toy show for adults.
Yes, toy show for adults. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so look, I think that's everyone, and we're well over time, but gosh, wasn't it worth it? And there's so much more we could talk about. You know, there really should be a part 2 in this, but maybe there might be in another day.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah. So Leah, thank you so much for that. You were really good to take the time to do it, because it has involved a lot of your time, and we all appreciate that, and I'm sure I speak for everybody. So continued success. I'm sure we'll all follow your work with great interest, and it's been lovely talking to you.
That's super. Please do visit the number 8 gallery in Kildare town. It's a lovely. We are a small group. We're a strong group, and we man the gallery ourselves. So you'd find me there easily, or come visit the studio.
Yeah, very good, very good. Thanks for that. Now, next week we have hopefully a bit of a surprise, because I'm hoping to launch the 5 documentaries, artist documentaries, that I've made during the summer. And we'll show a clip from some of those, and hopefully speak to some of the artists as well. So they don't even know about this yet. I mean, this is really all sort of, God, hope it all comes together in time, but I'm sure it will. In which case I'll notify you in person, so don't worry about that. Other than that, before Christmas, we've got Barbara Dawson from the Hugh Lane Gallery, who's the director of the Hugh Lane, and she's going to be speaking to us in 2 weeks' time. Okay, so look forward to seeing you again. Thank you all for joining us, and check in with you later on. Okay, take care.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
a million. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.